In this video, we're going to talk about protons and atomic number. This is lesson 5 in my TEAS Chemistry Essentials series. These 8 videos cover the fundamental chemistry topics that will show up on pretty much every TEAS exam. This series is totally free, and you can find all the videos at teasinOneday.com. On the website, there are also free study guides and worksheets and flashcards that you can download as well. After you finish TEAS Chemistry Essentials, you can move on to my full course, TEAS Chemistry in One Day. And that course covers all the rest of the chemistry that you need to know for the TEAS. Okay, let's get started with the lesson, protons and atomic number. First, a little bit of review to bring us up to speed. We've learned that atoms are tiny particles that make up everything, all matter. And there are different kinds of atoms called elements. For example, this copper ring is made of copper atoms, and table salt here is made of a combination of sodium atoms and chlorine atoms. Now, if you look at just one atom and zoom in even closer, you'll see that it has a particular structure. Atoms are made of even smaller particles called subatomic particles. Protons and neutrons are found in the middle of the atom in the nucleus, and electrons are found outside the nucleus. Now, for the rest of this lesson, we're pretty much just going to focus on the protons. Protons are very important because each element has a different number of protons. Let's look at what this means. We've talked about the fact that there are different types of elements. Here are the elements that make up these substances, and each element has a different number of protons. For example, copper atoms have 29 protons in their nucleus. Hydrogen atoms have 1 proton. Oxygen atoms have 8 protons in their nucleus, and so on. The number of protons is a big part of what makes each element different. There's some simple rules for how this works. Here's this copper ring. Every single one of these copper atoms has 29 protons in the nucleus. And in fact, every single copper atom in the universe has 29 protons in the nucleus. This is all you got to keep in mind. These 2 simple rules. If an atom has 29 protons in the nucleus, it's copper. And if it doesn't have 29 protons, it's not copper. Simple as that. And so the number of protons in an atom determines what element it is. It tells you what element it is. If you have 29 protons, you are copper. And the same rule is true for every element. For example, every single carbon atom in this charcoal and in the universe has 6 protons in the nucleus. If you're an atom with 6 protons, you must be carbon. Now you may be wondering, how do we know that? How do we know that, for example, copper atoms have 29 protons and carbon atoms have 6 protons? For that, we have to look at the periodic table of the elements. As you know, each element has its own square on the periodic table. The square for carbon is right here. If we zoom in on that square, we'll see some pieces of information. You already know about the element name and the element symbol. We're going to focus on the numbers here. The larger number, which is usually at the bottom, is called atomic mass. We're not going to worry about that one for right now. The smaller number, which is usually on top, that's our focus, and it's called the atomic number. The atomic number is the number of protons that the element has in its nucleus. So for example, we said that every single carbon atom in the universe has 6 protons. Well, look at the top of the periodic table square for carbon. It's atomic number 6, 6 protons, atomic number 6. If you want to know how many protons any element has, you just find the square on the periodic table and you look at the atomic number. Hydrogen here has an atomic number of 1. Every hydrogen atom in the universe has 1 proton in its nucleus. And here is an oxygen atom with, you guessed it, 8 protons in the nucleus, atomic number 8. Now, as you can see, you usually need the periodic table to find out an element's atomic number. Well, you may know that the TEAS doesn't give you a periodic table for the whole test. So some people say you need to memorize the whole periodic table if you want to do well on the chemistry. Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just trying to scare you. The TEAS doesn't give you a periodic table for the whole test. Yes, that's true. But for a particular question, it will give you a periodic table square or a small section of the table or even the whole table if you need it. So you'll have the information that you need to answer questions like these. Let's do 2 straightforward questions just to practice what we've learned. And then we'll look at some TEAS style practice problems, which will be a little harder because, as you know, the TEAS always likes to make things more tricky and confusing. Okay, an atom has 33 protons in its nucleus. What element is it? We have this section of the periodic table, and we just look through it, checking the atomic number for each element until we find 33. There it is. Arsenic, right here, atomic number 33, 33 protons in every atom of arsenic. Let's do one more. How many protons are in the nucleus of a neon atom? We'll look through the squares until we find neon. There it is. The square has a 10 at the top. That's the atomic number. There are 10 protons in every atom of neon. It's really that simple. Okay, now let's do 2 TEAS style questions to see how they'll test you on these concepts. Here we go. Which of the following statements is true about mercury? And they give us this periodic table square. Let's look over the choices one by one. Choice A. Mercury has an atomic mass of 80 AMU. No. 80 is the atomic number. The atomic mass is the number at the bottom of the square, which is 200.59. So this is false. Cross it off. Choice B says Mercury's symbol is Me. Well, come on. That's an easy one. The symbol for mercury, you can see right on the periodic table square here, is Hg. So B is a gimme. Get rid of it. Choice C says there are 80 protons in the nucleus of every mercury atom. Well, remember what atomic number means. It's the number of protons in the nucleus. This defines the element. Mercury always has 80 protons. Every single mercury atom. So this is our correct answer. We'll put a check mark next to it and take a look at D just to be sure. Okay? Choice D says mercury has an atomic number of 200.59. No. This number, 200.59, at the bottom of the periodic table square, that is the atomic mass, not the atomic number. So choice D is wrong as well. Cross it off and choose C for the final answer. Every single mercury atom in the universe has 80 protons in the nucleus. Mercury's atomic number is 80. One more. Which choice represents an atom of aluminum? We're given a small section of the periodic table. Well, this might seem a little scary because all the choices have protons, neutrons, and electrons, and we haven't talked about these in much detail yet. But remember that the TEAS is full of tricks and traps and shortcuts. The neutrons and the electrons are just here to trick you. They don't matter. Remember, it's the number of protons, the atomic number, that determines the element. Aluminum is atomic number 13. So every aluminum atom in the universe has 13 protons. Simple as that. Ignore everything else. It's just there to trick you. And if you look at the answer choices, there's only one of them that has 13 protons. This is our correct answer, B. 13 protons, it must be aluminum. All right, Well, we finished up this video on protons and atomic number, and you're ready to move on to electrons and ions, video number 6. And listen, if you've been watching these videos from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, take a look at how far you've come. You've learned so much information that's going to help you so much on the TEAS. Be sure to download and work through the study resources from TEASIN1day.com, and I'll see you in the next lesson.